Now on ITV1 this Sunday night, Jim Rosenthal introduces highlights from the world-famous Indianapolis circuit for the US Grand Prix.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the home of Formula One stateside. The fan clubs turned out in force for the race that marks the halfway point in the season, the United States Grand Prix. Hello there, we've come to the Midwest around 3 months earlier than usual. That means a steep rise in the temperature compared to the chilly Indy we experienced last autumn. Another change sees Rubens Barrichello outpacing his all-conquering teammate in the build-up to race day.
Michael Schumacher's never been out of the top two in the USA, but his Ferrari slides in the tricky second sector. He's the first of the heavyweights to run, but 1:10.2 is a great time. Jenson Button's next to go in qualifying. Button actually led at Indianapolis last year. He's made late changes on the BAR, searching for missing speed. Button was promoted to the podium following the disqualification of both Williams cars in Canada. He's behind Schumacher, but still in good shape. BAR teammate Takuma Sato's weekend started badly with an embarrassing collision with the Sauber of Felipe Massa in Friday practice. But Sato is pure excitement at the moment. He's quickest of all in Sector 2 and out-qualifies his teammate. Button quick to acknowledge a fine lap. Barrichello is last out, roared on by a sizable Brazilian contingent in the massive grandstands. He's smooth and very consistent. Schumacher's actually faster in 2 of the 3 sectors, but Barrichello's mastery of the infield produces the 10th pole of his career and his first at Indy. So, an all-Ferrari red front row. Their Bridgestones delivering on a single lap. Then the BARs, Sato and Button. Montoya, backed by his Colombian Barmy Army, next to Ralf Schumacher, teammates and the best of enemies side by side. Raikkonen, last year's pole sitter, 7th. The new McLaren due to appear at the next race in France. Grand Prix number 150 for Panis in the Toyota. A second covers the top 9. Incredible. Coulthard 12th, he says his car's unpredictable. Klein ahead of the Saubers, the Jordans and Minardis. The Renault's really struggling. Trulli couldn't get in gear. That's his worst starting position in 7 years. Before the Grand Prix, a major problem for Juan Pablo Montoya. His starting mechanism fails. There's the very unusual sight of the Colombian hot-footing it to the garage to hop in the spare. He starts from the pit lane, watched by Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Here we go! Go! Schumacher cuts across. Barrichello started well. Schumacher pushes Sato out of the way. Jenson Button, I believe, has lost ground. And look at Kimi Raikkonen up into 4th place. Schumacher has a look at Barrichello, but no luck.
Yes, a few cars then struggling to get away there, and there's a contact. Is that Klein, Jordan and a Sauber? All sorts of aggravation down there between turn 1 and 2. Who's pulling off there in the foreground?
I think it's a Minardi. It's one of the Minardis, I believe. That looks like Massa on the right, Klein. One of the Jordans is definitely involved there, and that's Bruni. Safety car has been deployed here at Indianapolis. Montoya, we're waiting to see whether he was involved in that or whether he got slipped through it. I think he got through it, no problem, actually. Alonso, though, great start from him. We saw Raikkonen also had a good start, but he obviously lost ground into turn 1. So Barrichello, the order at the moment. We're under a safety car, so everyone slowed down, as you can see. Barrichello leading the Grand Prix from Michael Schumacher. Alonso is up into 3rd place from 9th on the grid. Tremendous start for the Renault there. Sato then down from 3rd to 4th. Raikkonen is 5th, and Jenson Button has gone from 4th on the grid, Martin, down to 6th. Here's another look at the start.
D'Amata out of the pits now. He has got it going again. And Schumacher covering off Sato very well for second and third there. Look at Alonso already up to P5. And he just goes straight down the outside. Look at that. What a move for Alonso. Right into P3. Stunning. Now the action goes. Clean into the back of the Toyota. Wipes out Massa and Pantano. And I think, yeah, Montoya making his way through the carnage. I don't think we're going to see the incident. What we are going to see from this camera angle is Michael Schumacher squeezing us against the wall, followed by Alonso steaming down the outside. Watch out for him on the left-hand side. There he goes, almost having a look at Michael Schumacher. What a start. Immediately then, Michael Schumacher tucked up behind his teammate Rubens Barrichello. So Ferrari trained down in the first corner. Sato thinking about it, and look, 4, 5 and 6 abreast at the back of the field. And Klean's going to get tangled up there, lost his front wing, and then by sparing all over the racetrack, managed to run several people out of it. He had a first corner incident 7 days ago.
Certainly did. It was amazing, that low angle, wasn't it? Really fast and furious stuff. You can see Schumacher had a look. Look at Klean at the back on your left. He gets tangled up. You can see the two Jaguars are side by side there at one point. Whack! We're being told by race control now the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. Rubens Barrichello heads the train then. Michael Schumacher second, Alonso third, Sato fourth, Raikkonen fifth, and Jenson Button sixth. You're riding on board with Juan Montoya, whose car failed on the grid. He's into the spare car, and thanks to all the mayhem in the first corner, he is up into 14th place. And up to 11th from the very back of the grid is Jarno Trulli. So this is set, Martin, I think, for quite an exciting afternoon.
Yep, and who then has kept their tyres warmest, who can get their car functioning? Alonso's been working overtime there in third place. Get ready for the jump. Montoya will have had many restarts here at Indianapolis from when he was racing over here. He won this race, of course, as the 500 on the oval, but Barrichello really backing them up very slowly. He's going to bolt as soon as he gets sight of the apex of turn 11. He will absolutely leg it and hope he catches them all by surprise. I wonder if there they go.
Here he goes.
I wonder if they're doing that in synchronization. If they are, it's worked.
Certainly has. Alonso third, Sato fourth are being left behind, particularly Sato. Here we go then, green flag racing again in Indianapolis. Barrichello leads them round. You're not allowed to overtake until the start-finish line. Schumacher's already having a go. Was he passed by the start-finish line? That was marginal.
It was indeed. That's an interesting one. And he was certainly having a good go by the start-finish line. As you say, James, we'll have a look on that. Barrichello is shown as in the lead of the Grand Prix, though. So I suspect he did just get over the line first. But Michael Schumacher with so much more speed coming off that banking. Where did that come from? I wonder if he just raised the rev limiter just for that moment. He certainly caught Rubens napping a little bit. He takes the lead and Alonso right with them. Sato fourth, Raikkonen fifth, Button, Ralf Schumacher seventh, Panis eighth, Webber ninth, Coulthard 10th, Trulli still in 11th place.
Here we go again, let's look at this.
We also wonder, I mean, when I said did he put the revs up, I think that with these one engine per weekend rules, they're obviously keeping the revs down as much as they can. And is this a replay? I think this is a replay, isn't it? It is a replay of Michael taking the lead.
You're looking at the queue that's now beginning to form behind Kimi Raikkonen, who's in 5th place in the McLaren. McLaren having a better weekend. Raikkonen qualifying in 7th place for this Grand Prix, but still not on the pace of BAR, Williams or Ferrari. And you can see that Raikkonen now a couple of seconds behind Sato. As one of the Renaults, is that Alonso? I think it is Alonso, who's had
he's lost it under
big
braking.
incident.
Sorry, James, he's lost it under braking big time. I wonder if it just stepped away from him on the bumps. But safety car is standing by, unsurprisingly. Let's have a look at that. I think he's going to hit the brakes. It's just going to spin completely on him. Right rear tyre failure or puncture. So nasty incident there for 210 miles an hour. Straight into the wall, nose first. A tribute to just how massively strong these cars are. There he goes, no chance of saving that one at all. The safety car has, I believe, been stood down. We're working under double-waved yellows at this stage. And Flavio going, what was that? Well, Flavio, it was a right rear puncture or tyre delamination. The tyre tends to stay inflated down the straight. The speed, the centrifugal force keeps the tyre up, and then all of a sudden it gets so hot in the sidewalls, it bang, and nothing. It happens at Le Mans quite often.
This is David Coulthard in 8th place with Mark Webber in the Jaguar behind him. This is the battle for the last of the points-paying positions. Coulthard saying this new updated McLaren due out at the French Grand Prix can't come soon enough. He hasn't driven the car yet, only Kimi Räikkönen has driven the car, and he's saying, I'm waiting to be convinced that it's an improvement. I haven't driven it, I can't say. Another big crash in the final corner. Someone's hit the wall very, very hard. Car's diving out of the way to try and avoid it. That's a big impact. That's a 190-mile-an-hour corner. Turn 13, Martin. You wouldn't want it. Rubens Barrichello hit the wall there a couple of years ago. Zolt Baumgartner has hit the wall here this afternoon. That's going to have to be a safety car. It is indeed. Safety car again deployed. Second safety car in just 10 laps of racing here. And Ralf Schumacher. The computer got it wrong. It's Ralf Schumacher.
Where then are the marshals?
Where's the doctors as well? He's not moving much, is he?
Yeah, he's now, I believe he is moving now, but yeah, he's moving fine, certainly in terms of, there's a big impact rear as it just knocks the air out. Ferrari in the pits, Michael Schumacher using this safety car period as a chance to refuel. He'd been quite a bit quicker than Barrichello, and I think this is playing beautifully into Michael's hands, and Barrichello queuing up behind him. They're not going to make the same mistake they made in Monaco, James, by missing the safety car opportunity. Both Ferraris have pitted, which rather confirms, and Barrichello very slow away. It rather confirms that we thought they were running light, but all these incidents played right into their hands. There we go, he's lost it early on, and yeah, that's a heavy impact, and worse than that, it was at 90 degrees. At 90, and I think that knocked him out pretty much straight away, James, if you look. And we're going to see another angle of it now. He's already had the incident. There then is the debris. Ralf making it several hundred meters down the racetrack, and that's going to take some clearing up. I think they've got to throw a red and clean this place up and give these guys all another set of tyres, because they've been through way too much debris. 14 runners then, I'll go through them again. Michael Schumacher, Takuma Sato second, Jenson Button third, Webber for Jaguar fourth, Montoya fifth, Räikkönen is sixth then for McLaren. Barrichello down to seventh. That's not worked out at all well for him. And Jarno Trulli up to eighth from the 20th on the grid, having taken on fuel. Michael Schumacher becomes the pace car now then. He wants to be careful he doesn't catch the actual pace car by bolting a bit too early. And he passed the pace car, look. And now they've got to race to the line before they do any overtaking. This is all working out beautifully for Michael Schumacher. Have we ever said that before?
He judged it once again absolutely perfectly. Just as the safety car went into the pit lane, Michael Schumacher went past. At the first restart earlier on in the Grand Prix, he passed Rubens Barrichello just as they crossed the start-finish line. They were 0.0 seconds apart, and Michael Schumacher took the lead. He is on top here once again at Indianapolis. The two BARs of Sato and Button are second and third, but they have not made a pit stop. So Schumacher has made one stop for fuel and tyres during that safety car period. The BARs did not bring either of their two cars in. We'll find out later in the race whether that was the right or wrong thing to do. Montoya is up to fourth, having started this Grand Prix from the pit lane. His car failed on the grid. There we are, I'm riding on board with him. There's Juan Montoya up into fourth place. He did not either make a stop during that safety car period. Räikkönen did, he's fifth. So did Barrichello. That's dropped him down from second to sixth. And Jarno Trulli up to seventh, having started at the very back of the grid. What a frenetic start to this Grand Prix. And we're all concerned about Ralf Schumacher. Louise, what can you tell us about his condition?
Well, we've just heard from Gary Hart, the medical officer, that Ralf is fine. He is conscious, he's a bit dizzy. He has some bruising to his back, and he has concussion as well. But he's going to be taken to the Memorial Hospital for some x-rays. But Gary's words were, the guy is fine.
And in comes Jenson Button. This stop is going to cost him, Martin. It's going to cost him a lot. He's going to be down in 12th place as a result of this.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone right through the garage. They all have to shuffle along. It's very slippery on the concrete apron there. Jenson just a bit too hot on the way in, but I don't know why they sat for so many laps behind the safety car without you taking advantage of it. They've just got up and running again, and now they're in the pits. So maybe they know something we don't, but I can't see the logic there at the moment. When will Sato be in? That's the question.
Here's a replay of Button getting it wrong at the stop. Ooh. Luckily didn't collect anybody, but you wouldn't want to be the front right gunman, would you?
So it costs you a couple of 3 seconds while they just collect their thoughts and then move their air guns and move the wheels that are ready to go on and the spare wheel nuts. And the refueler has to shuffle along with the heavy refueling rig. No such problem for Sato. He's underway and surely will stay in front of Jenson Button then.
Yeah, Jenson Button is down in 12th place behind the Jaguar of Mark Webber, but ahead of Zolt Baumgartner. There you can see them pouring out. That's Jenson Button there. Sato rejoining then just in front of his teammate who had set the fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix so far. He was really pressing on, was Jenson, on that outlap, and now he's got Sato right in front of him. So the team gets Sato out where he was before those 2 stops, but how expensive were they?
And Ted is down there at BAR.
Down at BAR with very bad news. You always know something's wrong when the mechanics clear a car-sized space in the garage for one of their cars. We think it is Jenson Button. Takuma Sato seems to be moving quite well on track. So a race-ending problem, we fear, for Jenson Button.
Well, he's getting all racy now, but he's coming in the pit lane. He doesn't look like he's got a car that he wants to park in the garage and light up a cigar and watch the rest of the race with. But is that indeed what he's going to do? He's taking a long swing towards his garage, and indeed he becomes the 8th retirement.
McLaren getting ready for another stop. We've seen Raikkonen in twice already. Coulthard just the once. The Williams team finally then getting ready for Juan Montoya on lap 35 of 73, approaching half distance in the Grand Prix. And Montoya really has made very, very good use of the spare car. Unfamiliar to him, of course. He just jumped straight into it when his car had problems on the grid. Meanwhile, Raikkonen pitting again. The 3rd time this afternoon comes Kimi Raikkonen.
I wonder if they're struggling to get fuel in that car, because I think the last stop was out of sequence, and that's they're not getting fuel in. They're struggling to get fuel, I believe, into the car. Are they changing a electronic box? Ted, can you see anything?
Yes, they are fiddling with the electronics, and it looks like also it may be the airline. No, in fact it is an electronics. There's a wire coming out and a box into there, so it's either the battery or some sort of electronics reset on there. They did put a little splash of fuel in there, but only a tiny bit. The fuel rig is working okay.
Michael Schumacher then is about to lap Kimi Raikkonen. Montoya finally pits then at the end of lap 35. And let's see where he feeds out. If he can go into the middle of all of that traffic, I think he's going to be okay, actually, as Sato passes us and him. But Michael Schumacher, he must be thinking, come on, guys, where are you? Where are you today? They just seem to make it so easy for him.
They really do. Rubens Barrichello then is promoted to 2nd place, but 13 seconds behind his team leader. And Montoya fed back in behind Sato, but ahead of Heidfeld and Fisichella. So that means that Montoya, I believe, is in 6th place behind Takuma Sato. Still lapping like a demon in a low 1:11. Sato pushing very hard, but he's half a minute behind Michael Schumacher. And if you think that before he made that pit stop, he was he was right at the back of Michael Schumacher. It shows you just how expensive it was that BAR didn't make the stop under the safety car. There's Schumacher, as Martin said, saying once again this season, saying, where is everybody?
He's 13 seconds ahead of his teammate and pulling away. He's found a pace that we just didn't see through practice and qualifying. You can see some nasty discoloration on his rear tyres, in particular in the middle of the rear tyres. So even with that light blistering on the surface where the rubber gets localised heating and sort of erupts, gives you a handling problem. Seems less of a problem to the Bridgestone tyres than the Michelin's. It can give you structural problems, as I think that is Raikkonen in the background there, making a long way round the outside of turn 7. Here then, second place man Barrichello, and he's 7.4 ahead of third place man Jarno Trulli. Panis up to 4th, Sato now 5th. Montoya fed back in 6th place, comfortably actually ahead of the Heidfeld, Fisichella, Coulthard, Webber, Dice.
Yes, we haven't seen much of Olivier Panis this afternoon, celebrating his 150th Grand Prix start, a very long career, but he's going very nicely in 4th place, half a minute behind Michael Schumacher. Not being featured much by the TV cameras, but on target at the moment for Toyota's best result of the season. Now, we're just riding on board with Takuma Sato, and he's really lining up the Panis here.
Isn't he ever? And this is a grudge match. Whoa, Honda versus Toyota, and Honda pulls ahead at that one, and it looked like Panis was going to give him a little frightener to put him off the trail. Sato was having none of it. He's certainly driving with great maturity. Jeff Willis from the BAR team is down with Louise now.
He is indeed, Martin. In fact, Jeff has spent the last 5 minutes having a very close look at the telemetry on Sato's car. Is there some kind of problem? It doesn't appear from what's going on the track.
No, there's no problem with Takuma's car at all. We were just trying to understand if the problem with Jensen had any relevance to Takuma's, but everything looks okay at the moment.
We heard initial suspicions with gearbox with Jensen. Can you confirm that?
Yes, we looked like we had a problem immediately after the stop. So we just had to bring the car in rather than destroy it.
Talking of the stops, we were a bit puzzled as to why you didn't bring the cars in to refuel under the safety car.
We certainly didn't intend to take the first safety car. That was planned. In retrospect, maybe we should have taken the safety car with one car for the second safety car.
Thanks, Jeff.
Rather confirming, I think, what we were thinking up here, James, but...
You can say that again, 33 seconds it cost him.
Yeah. Michael Schumacher's lead now 15 seconds. Montoya's down in 6th place, 36 seconds off the lead, but he's under investigation by the stewards. Did he speed in the pit lane? Did he cross the white line on the pit exit? Has he frightened somebody off the road, which is a bit prone to doing from time to time? We'll have to wait and see. But Montoya then under investigation, and that normally means, doesn't it, that they get a penalty of some sort, usually a drive-through.
Yeah, usually a drive-through penalty. Montoya currently then 36 seconds behind the race leader in 6th place at the moment, but a full 20 seconds ahead of Giancarlo Fisichella. So if he does get some sort of drive-through, he might be able to rejoin ahead of Fisichella. Wow, look at that.
That was the replay of the braking zone into turn 8, where Sato would not be. This presumably is another angle of it, and that was a touch naughty from Mr. Panis. We're going to see, I think, yet another. We're not sure when there's a replay, just keeping us on our toes. Yeah, he wasn't going to have that, was he? And brave stuff there from Sato, and naughty stuff from Panis.
Ferrari ready in the pit lane for one of their two drivers. They pitted at the same time. Michael Schumacher comes in for his second stop of the afternoon. This is lap 42, and that means that Rubens Barrichello will momentarily assume the lead, but it's only a matter of time before Barrichello himself has to come in and make a stop. 15 seconds the margin that Schumacher had over Barrichello, so in other words he was pulling away from him even still at this point going into the pit stop.
They could afford to stop for one of those big turkey legs they sell out the back of the grandstands here, couldn't he, at the moment? But a long way to go yet, long way to go, but Rubens needs to pick his pace over if he's going to get anywhere near Michael Schumacher.
Well, the fastest man on the racetrack at the moment is Takuma Sato. You're looking at him now. He's dipping into the 1:10s here, 1:10.7 his last lap. He's got Jarno Trulli in his sights, 7 seconds up the road he is. Jenson Button we saw making a retirement, a very costly one. Louise is with him.
Jenson, your first retirement of the season, very frustrating.
Yeah, it is, because the car is working really well here, but you know, it wasn't going right from the word go. You know, when Ralph had his accident, everybody else pitted and we stayed out thinking it would be okay, but the pace car was out for 11 laps or something, the safety car. So we lost a lot of time there, but the pace of the car when we got on new tyres was unbelievable. Traction-wise, we could overtake people out of corners, which is really unusual. So the car's very quick here, and I think it's the quickest car on the circuit, so it's a little bit disappointing, but there you go.
And into the pits comes Sato from 4th place.
Again, surely that's a touch earlier than we probably anticipated Sato would come in. They've got to fuel him up for the remaining 28 laps of the Grand Prix. That's why it's taken a while. It's such a long pit straight here. and of course you're pitting at 100 kilometers per hour when on the track they're doing right alongside you over 300 kilometers per hour. So you lose proportionately more time than at some circuits.
Yeah, that fuel will comfortably get Sato to the end of the Grand Prix, so no more stops for him. 28 laps still to go here at Indianapolis. Well, a capacity crowd, not exactly, because this place holds 500,000, but certainly a better crowd than we've seen in the last few years, and they've been entertained royally here this afternoon. Lots of good racing, lots of good overtaking, a few incidents, plenty to talk about on the way home. We've got 11 cars still running. Last man on the track is Zolt Baumgartner as Trulli pits from second place. This will promote Michael Schumacher back up into second before Rubens Barrichello makes his stop. Barrichello lapping very quickly at the moment, so obviously trying to take advantage of the light car that he has under him. Slow away, no, good stop actually for Trulli. As David Coulthard comes into the pits in the McLaren, he was 8th, but he's lost that place now to Mark Webber, with whom he has been battling all afternoon. They'll fuel this car through to the finish, I think.
Yet another puncture. Luckily for Fisichella, it's gone in a less crucial part of the racetrack than the main pit straight or the banked final turn. He's been trying too hard. You've got to hurry up and wait with that situation. No flailing carcass at the moment to damage the rear suspension.
This will drop Rubens Barrichello back behind Michael Schumacher. He was 22.6 seconds ahead of him, and you need more than that to make a stop and rejoin. Schumacher goes through across the start-finish line, overtakes his teammate then. Rubens Barrichello closer than he was, though. He has actually gained quite a lot by putting more fuel in the car in that pit stop under safety cars, and now we will see whether he can use the pace that he's had all weekend and the psychological advantage he had built up against his teammate. Now we'll see in the closing stages of this Grand Prix whether or not Rubens has got something in him to try and pass his team leader. Well, that certainly worked out for him, didn't it, Martin? That was he was 12 seconds behind Michael Schumacher at one stage in this Grand Prix, and now he's right with him.
Yeah, and he was lapping in the 1:10.5s when he came in and just been eating up Michael's time. He was 22.6 seconds ahead, so it must have been a very quick stop for Rubens Barrichello. Well, they've now got the same fuel load to the end of the race, James, but Rubens has got much fresher tyres.
Certainly has. You see the Ferrari in front just jumping about a little bit. Rubens just having a look, looking at Schumacher's technique. Where will he brake? How does he take this corner? Where might I get him?
Michael's rear tyres have gone. Michael's rear tyres have gone. Well, he'll have to let him through, I think, because he'll just take it. Oh! Wow, Michael would not yield there. Rubens with a much faster car. Michael Schumacher's rear tyres burned out.
This is great stuff here then. Rubens Barrichello right up with Michael Schumacher, and you can see that he has a pace advantage. It's just a question of when he plays his joker. Does he try and play the patient card, or does he go for it straight away? What's the best thing to do? Michael Schumacher has to make it through to the end of the Grand Prix. 22 laps to go, and he seems to be really struggling at the moment, but he doesn't seem to be able to get into his head the concept that his teammate might pass him. It's very hard to swallow when you're Michael Schumacher, the thought that someone else in an identical car is going to come through and pass you. But that is the prospect here for him if, as Martin says, those rear tyres on Schumacher's car have gone.
It's a question of when, not if, because Michael Schumacher, remember we said at the stop that he put a lot of fuel in and it was going to burn the centre of his rear tyres. Well, it's happened quite dramatically. And Schumacher then falling back into the clutches of Barrichello. Surely Barrichello's got the speed somewhere to have a go at Michael. This is Coulthard making an unscheduled stop, back end locked up as he goes into the garage. Everybody slightly having to, do they get knocked or do they just step back? But Coulthard then was lapping very slowly, so we're assuming he's just gone in for a different set of tyres, I would imagine. And that then just proves us wrong. Montoya has got a pit again. So sadly, Montoya, with 17 laps to go, looks as if, there he is, he hasn't gone in the pit lane this time around, but seems like he has got to have some more fuel. So our info not quite right on that one.
What a shame, but he's certainly closing very quickly. That will probably explain why his pace was superior to the Ferraris. The two Ferraris lapping 1:12.3 at the moment. Fastest lap we've seen so far in the Grand Prix in the high 1:09s, low 1:10s. So that gives you an idea of where the Ferraris are relative to the pace. Sato is 17 seconds behind the two Ferraris with just 17 laps to go. When Montoya pits, Sato will be promoted to 4th. Jarno Trulli, he's closing him down at the moment. Trulli will be promoted to 3rd. But can either of those two find the speed to get up to the Ferraris and maybe even try and attack them in the closing stages of this Grand Prix? You're looking at Montoya, expecting him to come into the pits. The Williams mechanics are down there. The tyres are out of the blankets. And expect to see Montoya diving to the right here. There he goes.
That's bad news for the Grand Prix. He certainly had the speed to have a look at the Ferraris, and this time around Michael Schumacher 2/10 faster, so the amazing pace Barrichello had on those fresh tyres has just ebbed away quickly. Ted.
Montoya's tyres were starting to go off anyway, so this is a relief just looking at they are quite badly worn. Of course, because he started in the T car, that car had to have a heavier fuel load than the one he originally went to the grid with. So I think that explains some of it, but that's unfortunate. Oh, what's this? A black flag?
Yep, it's black flag for Montoya. I wonder if there's some technical issues with him using the spare car at the beginning of the race. Did he have two cars in play, effectively? He left one on the grid. I think you're allowed to do that. But Montoya didn't take the black flag because he happened to pit on that lap. He'll get it next time past. The team will know anyway. They'll be on the radio to him. I would imagine they'll use their 3 laps grace that they've got to go and understand why he's been black flagged, or maybe they'll just call him in. But that's Sam Michael then probably calling Juan Pablo Montoya into the pits. Is it another technical infringement for Williams just 7 days later?
7 days after the disqualification in Montreal. Both cars, Ralf Schumacher's 2nd place finishing Williams, Montoya's 4th place finishing car, both disqualified for brake depth infringements. Black flag means you've got to come into the pits because your race is over. We're not being given the reason up on the computer at the moment by the race stewards, but here comes Montoya. He's not wasting any time, and once again, Indianapolis not a happy hunting ground for Juan Montoya. Here last year, he arrived with a chance at the championship, and his championship hopes were finished off here, but the stewards brought him in for a drive-through penalty, and now he's going to park a perfectly healthy car. Ted, what can you tell us?
Juan Montoya furiously retires. 2nd race in a row, Williams have a disqualification. It is because of the incident on the grid when the first car wouldn't start up and they had to use the T car. I believe it's because the T car had not been nominated and didn't receive a sticker from the FIA. A small administrative problem, but it is because he just jumped into that T car and went with it without going through the proper procedure.
Look at this. Within 3 or 4 corners, Sato's taken all that advantage back. Jarno Trulli under pressure for 3rd place. You have to say it looks like Barrichello's now been told to hold station in 2nd.
Certainly does. This then the main interest of the battle, and there you can see Mark Webber struggling to control the Jaguar. That has blown at the same place that Ralf Schumacher had his incident, so Mark Webber able to bring it under control. He's going down the pit straight very, very slowly. And a scary moment for Mark Webber in the Jaguar. So both Jaguars retiring. And poor old Mark, he was in 6th place before that happened.
Don't really know why he didn't duck round the end of the pit lane and just get out of that. He's not doing anybody any favours there. He's gone to the relative safety of the turn 1 runoff area. And although we saw Alonso flying there on 3 wheels, the fire's going out. Possibly some rear suspension problems as well. May have been created by the fire melting the suspension. And look, that is Jarno Trulli with some kind of drama then. Jarno Trulli off the road and struggling. Is that a low left tyre I saw there? Amazing, just going on everywhere. It's going to be anyone wins in a minute. Anyone scores some World Championship points this afternoon, for the looks of it. At the moment, just 9 runners
Well, they're giving away the points here this afternoon. The BAR team ready for Takuma Sato with 12 laps to go. We thought, we hoped certainly that he would have enough fuel to get to the finish. He is up into a podium position, but looks like he's going to have to make another visit, and it's going to be nip and tuck with Panis, who's in 5th place, 14 seconds behind him in the final run to the finish. Whether or not Panis or Sato is going to get that final podium position.
Sato doesn't pit this time around, but they're really paying a heavy price for not pitting under those safety cars on there, especially if they let Panis up onto the podium. But clearly didn't get as much fuel in these cars as we thought they were during those stops, and what's been a crazy race. Somebody's going to be busy catching up on all this at the end of the afternoon and trying to write up about exactly all the things that went on here. That is the Jaguar engine beginning to cry enough of Mark Webber. He went a long way. What is this all about then? This is about Sato passing Jarno Trulli for 3rd place. The McLaren of Raikkonen looked like it was trying to get out of the way. The pair of them across the grass. Sato pointing in the right direction on the grass. Jarno Trulli not. So when we saw him, he was just recovering. He's back relatively up to speed.
As the Sauber struggles there of Fisichella. Looks like he might have some kind of problem. We're being told by the pit crew that it's a hydraulic problem for Fisichella. Just 9 runners at the moment. Fisichella in difficulties, and any more difficulties for anybody. There he is slowing, and that would mean that Baumgartner is going to get a point. Here he goes, past Fisichella. The young Hungarian driver could be on for Minardi's first points since Australia 2 years ago.
Yeah, and poetic justice. That would be nice actually to see. Let's hope he makes it through these final 5 laps. He's about to get lapped again. So I think I just saw Fisichella pulling out of the Grand Prix. We are down to 8 runners, and all 8 of them then will score World Championship points, providing they can be classified finishers. There's Baumgartner then, P8 now. Raikkonen and Coulthard are 6th and 7th. The Ferraris are now Linus third. That chop that Michael put on Rubens was pretty pivotal, wasn't it? Slightly ruthless, but what would you expect? And he's defending the lead of a Grand Prix, but it was a pivotal moment. If Rubens had got through there, I think they were, after that incident, I'm sure they were both told to behave themselves and get the cars home. Ted has some news on that Montoya disqualification.
Indeed, Martin, it does appear to be that he was not off the grid within 15 seconds. I understand from the team that he was told at 20 seconds that this is not going to happen, get out of the car and leg it, and we think he missed it by about 1.5 to 2 seconds. That is that he was on the grid about 1.5 to 2 seconds past the 15. That is tough. The big question being asked at Williams, why did it take 57 laps to tell them?
Yeah, it's taken a long time. I thought there was a window once they've been told there's a problem, under which they've got to have a resolution to that. But so he's been out there risking his neck, and he will not be a happy chap. It takes a while to get out of the cars with seatbelts, radio, drink, and I'm just watching this one, and your Hans device, a piece flying off the back of the BAR. We just seem to have seen carbon fibre flying everywhere today, but all the goodies that are attached to the driver, it does take a few seconds to get out of it. And Montoya then, that's the regulation 85 I told you about, not clear. You've got to have people out of the way within 15 seconds. You can't have cars beginning to pull away. We've had accidents in the distant past where mechanics have been run over because they bolt onto the track or because they're still trying to fix their cars. And you've got to clear the grid. There has to be a defined moment where everybody's out of the way.
Ross Brawn climbing up onto the wall there, just having a look at something down the pit straight as the 2 cars go through. He's come away from his timing stand where he hasn't got a view of the pit straight. He wanted to see with his own eyes something with the 2 Ferraris that have just passed, so hopefully that's nothing. The Ferrari mechanics pouring out onto the apron now to salute home their man. I wonder whether the officials, perhaps, Martin, were delayed in looking at that Montoya situation by the accident of Ralf Schumacher. It was a very serious incident. There was an awful lot for them to focus on and obviously concern themselves whether they should red flag the situation. I'm sure that will have added to the delay in judging the Montoya picture, but no doubt then here in Indianapolis who the winner of this Grand Prix is. Michael Schumacher going through turn 9 at the moment. 46 miles an hour, slowest corner on the racetrack, heading then for his 8th win out of 9 Grand Prix this season. Crucially for Ferrari, who like their history and like their celebrations, it's their 175th Formula One victory. But what it really is an illustration of just what a racing genius Michael Schumacher is, how he took the lead at the restart and how he's put one over his teammate Rubens Barrichello. Michael Schumacher wins the American Grand Prix. What a resounding victory for him, and it means a lot to him. Rubens Barrichello finishes in 2nd place, just a couple of seconds behind, with an awful lot to think about going away from here. And we're waiting for Sato to come through. Takuma Sato, there he is. He comes through to get his first ever Formula One pole position. He's ecstatic in the cockpit of his car. There he is, punching the air. A massive achievement for him.
Absolutely magnificent, but after all those dramas, it's another Ferrari 1-2. Takuma Sato up there, rubbing shoulders with the big boys. We'll be back to hear from Mark Blundell and the key characters from the most dramatic race of F1 2004. Hello again, welcome back to Indianapolis. Over here they enthuse about NASCAR. They say Formula One is boring. The United States Grand Prix has provided absolutely compelling evidence to the contrary, a real thriller. It's ended up in a victory for Michael Schumacher. Win number 8 of the season for Schumacher. Barrichello following home so consistent. Sato, 3rd, best ever, equals by a Japanese driver that. Then Trulli, 4th in the Renault. Panis, race number 150, 5th for Toyota. Raikkonen and Coulthard, both McLaren drivers scoring. The new car should be on show in our next Grand Prix in France. And Scholt, Baumgartner, a precious point that for Minardi. This man, though, can't stop scoring and winning.
Michael, that must have been a very difficult race for you, given the circumstances and the accident of your brother.
It is, yeah, indeed.
Was it difficult to you to maintain your concentration and focus on what you were doing?
It was, until I found out that Ralph basically was okay.
Tell us about the defining moment of the race, overtaking Rubens just as you crossed the line. How did you manage to judge that so well?
You know where's the line and you sort of try to get it right.
It was always a good result, 8 points compared to the 10. I wish I could have done it. I mean, there was so many small things that didn't come to conclusion. One, the fact that when the safety car came on, I was already 2 seconds away. The second thing was that the safety car never told us when he was coming in or not, so I saw the light disappearing, and he was so close, I had to go up to the last corner slow.
Takuma, you've come so close to that podium in the past. Was it worth waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, waiting so long time, but it was fantastic. Not only personal point of view, but from the team working so hard to put me on the podium. And I'm so happy to bring back to the result today.
Congratulations, Olivier. What a wonderful way to celebrate your 150th Grand Prix.
Well, I'm very pleased for that because it was a good result and, yeah, you know, it's a good present. But we need to keep going like this because it's where we need to be, because we have a good team. We need to show everybody else we're there. The car looks very competitive all weekend, and it's very good to profit about this.
11 wins in the season is his record. He's got 8 so far at the halfway stage. Barrichello on 62 points. The Brazilian scored in every race. Nothing for Button, so Trulli moves up just 3 points behind him now. Alonso, Montoya, Ralf Schumacher, Fisichella unchanged, but Sato, the big mover, from 9th to 7th. Ferrari roaring away with the constructors. Renault still second. Sato scoring 6 for BAR. Nothing again for BMW Williams. They're having a miserable time. 5 points lifts them to 5th for McLaren. Above Sauber, Toyota scoring 8, and Minardi off the mark. That is brilliant for them. Their first score in 41 races, dating back to Webber's score in Melbourne 2002.
So, did you just win the Grand Prix?
No, I scored a point, and for a team, for us, it's a great thing. So we are really happy, as you could see, as it's a great thing.
This is a bit of history, isn't it? First Hungarian driver ever to score a point in the World Championship.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really happy. We were really close in Monaco.
but I'm very happy that finally here in Indy we could score the point. It was very pleasant and very good.
Does happy sum it up for you, Paul? I don't think it's a big enough word, is it?
Fantastic, Lou. I mean, when a team like Minardi scores a point, it's always cause for a celebration, but when a guy scores a point, it's been really hanging in there race after race with reliability. We got so close in Monaco, now to get the point here, fantastic.
Mark, first of all, what a terrific afternoon's entertainment.
A spectacular event. I mean, incredible. There was so much action going on. I really enjoyed it.
Action right from the start of the race as well, and one or two cars didn't get very far in the United States Grand Prix.
Well, it was a clean start off the grid itself, but the unfortunate situation of when those cars arrived to the first corner, as you can see now, a couple of Ferraris there just going into turn one, no problems whatsoever. Alonso has an outstanding start right around the outside to get third, but as we get here, Cristiano Di Marta actually slows up in between the two apexes. It looks like gearbox problems, and Christian Klein runs straight in the back of him.
Yeah, no fault of the Jaguar driver there. It was the Toyota just really slowed down, didn't it?
Exactly, just a speed differential, and then concertina effect, 4 or 5 cars off.
When we look back at this Grand Prix, Mark, we remember it for the crashes, and Fernando Alonso, like Ralf Schumacher, had a very big one.
He did. He had a puncher coming down the main straight. He was probably doing about 202 miles an hour. You can see here on the brakes, puncher puts him straight into the wall at a 90-degree angle.
Give us a view as to the mindset of the driver when that sort of thing happens, Mark.
Well, you know, you do worry, because you know that something's been picked up on a rear tyre. It could easily happen to you, and it could have been a lot worse.
So much debris around, and Ralf Schumacher might just have caught some of it before his crash.
I think that's quite possible. I think there was a lot of debris on the circuit. You only need a small carbon splinter, and it can pierce through a tyre quite easily. But for me, I think the situation is that Ralf maybe pinched this turn, and I mean by that he went a little bit too low on the banking. He got onto the flat part of the apron and a little bit of the banking itself, unstabilised the car, and the rear of the car broke away, chucked him into the concrete wall. Formula One cars do not meet concrete very often.
And of course, really shaken up by that accident. It did take some while for the medical people to get to him, didn't it?
It did indeed, and that was a big concern for me. I was looking at Ralf Schumacher. He looked very still in the car as well. I think he was somewhat concussed, but it did take a considerable amount of time for the medical people to get there.
I don't know what Juan Pablo Montoya has done to deserve all the bad luck he's had in the last 7 days or so, but I mean, it's pretty unusual before a race to see somebody getting out of a car and legging it back to the pits, isn't it?
Yeah, they actually, the starter of the car sheared away and they couldn't actually start the engine, and what they did, they contravened Article 85 in the FIA book, and Juan actually took to the start of the race in the spare car. You've got 15 seconds before the start of that race takes place, and he had to be positioned in the spare car way before that.
Hour and a half for that to happen.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I think they should have been on top of that much earlier. We've let a guy there continue throughout the race, and he could have actually upset somebody else's result in an hour and a half.
I'm told his engineers put a clover in Takuma Sato's car. It certainly worked. First podium for him. Brilliant stuff.
Incredible, and what a great result for the team as well. They've now got 2 guys who are on the podium so far this season. Takuma Sato needed this result. I think it's going to give him an air of confidence. He had a little nasty brush here with Olivier Panis. Olivier went for the block. Sato reacted very quickly, and that could have been a big accident. A little bit upsetting there for Sato, but he made good of it. But look, he's incredibly happy on there on the podium. He takes his first trophy, his first podium, and I think the Japanese will be roaring away with cheers and so forth back in Japan.
He's a great little character. He gets my vote for driver of the day for what it's worth. Michael and Rubens, we wondered before the race, would it be Rubens' day? There was a moment in this race where perhaps Rubens had a chance to get by him.
Yeah, there was a situation where Rubens and Michael had that battle there, but to be perfectly honest with you, they come together here. You get Rubens coming up behind Michael. You think it's going to happen because he's got the extra run on him, but the old master doesn't get phased at all. He just pulls straight across the front end of Rubens. Rubens has a little bit of a nightmare there, sorting it all out.
And if the United States public just finally wanted something to attract them to Formula One, this race has done no harm at all.
If you wanted to see an F1 race and you wanted to see a spectacular one, you should have been in Indianapolis today.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you very much indeed. Coming up next weekend, a very special event as well at Goodwood, the Goodwood Festival of Speed at 4. We go back in Europe in a fortnight. The French Grand Prix qualifying live 12:30 on the Saturday. Our pre-race show starts at midday on race day. The highlights are at midnight. Well, on Father's Day, Formula One's Big Daddy Michael Schumacher has delivered. Younger brother Ralph, though, he can be very thankful for the strength of the modern Formula One car. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by the Daily Telegraph is ITV.